Mom.
Today we're going to talk about emotional pain. This is going to be a really quick 10-minute, maybe a little over 10-minute video, and we're just going to talk really quickly about emotional pain. What do you think about when you hear emotional pain?
I think about my 3 boys that passed and my cousin. It's always in your mind. It's always there. It's always in your heart. You know,
Right.
at the most inopportune times, you think those thoughts pop in your head. You could be in a crowd and they pop in your head. You could be shopping and it pops in your head. So it's always with you.
Yeah, when I think of emotional pain, I can say honestly, I don't think about it. I don't think I'm in any emotional pain in this season of my life, but I can remember a time when I was, and it was primarily feeling rejection or feeling that people don't like me. Just well, part of that is true, yeah. But the emotional pain is just the words and the words that I was called when I was younger. Those words haunted me for so many years. And I remember my process of going through working on those things. And I remember being at home, and I faced a lot of things like when I was at home by myself. Well, no, partly true. And then my spiritual sister, Felicia Felton, she helped me through a lot of stuff. I kind of work things out, on her and different things like that. And I remember talking to Jasmine Felton, Erica Neal. Those were my shoulders to lean on, and we kind of talked, through a lot of my pain, and they got to see it too. It wasn't just like I was exaggerating things and I was making things up. They actually got to see a lot of it, and I'm sure people who came to them privately, with it or whatever. But I do remember the biggest thing that triggered a large amount of the pain in my life was when I was working with some young people from my old church, and I felt personally that they just flipped on me, and I never really got a solid answer why. They kind of blamed me for everything, but I never got a solid answer why'd you decided to move this way or whatever. And it triggered old pain for me. And so because I was triggered by a childhood trauma, in a way, I was trying to make up for certain things because I felt like, I could help young people not go through the stuff that I went through as a young person. So I would give, and I probably gave way too much of myself, my time, my space. I gave too much to people who didn't treasure what I gave to them. And I make that assumption because you can tell, not everybody, not all young people that I dealt with, but this particular group, you can tell by how people grow up and respond to you when they get older, how they remember things about you, how they cherish what you did. It shows in what they do. It shows a lot, but that emotional pain is, I never, dealt with young people after that. I never put myself out there with them, and I work with young people my whole adulthood. And after that particular encounter, I was so torn up inside that I was just like, nope, not letting anybody else in my space that way. And those that hung with me through thick and thin, even through the trauma of this certain group of kids that I really gave a lot of my time and effort into. They still call me their mentor today. The group that didn't go left. They still call me their mentor today. They remember everything I sacrificed for them. They remember everything I gave and poured into their lives, and the space that I gave them to develop and to become to know who they are, even though I struggled with it growing up. So I didn't want to see another young person go through that. So my emotional pain was I just shut people completely off after that. I even to the point where I felt like I had panic attacks when I had to go into certain groups of people that I didn't know, or I questioned why certain people liked me, or why certain people, wanted to be around me. So I wore that terrible pain on me every day for years. And now that I'm on the other side of it, it's like, I wasted a lot of time on stuff that I could have just, faced, dealt with, and moved on. But I wore it for years. It was just unreal when I look back on it and I see how I responded to certain people. Because I was a pro at, one of my mentors out there, Sims, I love you. She told me at a women's retreat, and this is really what promoted change in me. This really, you got to work on this. And I remember we was at a women's retreat and something happened, and I felt a certain way about the thing that happened at the women's retreat. Not going to get into that, but I felt a certain way about something that happened, and I just completely shut down. There was no coming back. I was not getting out of that funk. I just completely shut down. And I remember we were doing pros and cons of the event, because I was on the actual leadership team of Althea Sims' women's ministry. And I remember her and I talking, and we got into the conversation about, my demeanor. And she was like, your silence is really off-putting. I've never heard that. And she was like, your silence is really off-putting. And she said, what happens is people don't know how to handle your silence. Because when I'm such a strong personality that you could feel the energy when I shift. And that's just having the wrong perception of yourself, right? If you have an accurate perception of yourself and me, I could understood that. I could understood me being my energy shifting, and it shift the room or shift people. And I didn't even consider or think of myself in that manner. What do you think about that?
Well, I had been in therapy for years. My therapist was a popular man. He used to be on, what's that show? I can't think of the name of it. His name was Robert Ritchie, and he helped me through a lot of my trauma, because I had a nervous breakdown and I was in the hospital for 2 years. And so I went to therapy every day, and I got a lot out of me that I had held inside for many years that I couldn't talk to anybody about. I couldn't talk to my family. I couldn't talk to my kids. I couldn't talk to my sisters and brothers. So all of that led to me having a nervous breakdown. And I was in therapy for 2 years. So that helped a lot. People tell you don't go to a therapist. You can go to a therapist, because that's where you can let all that hurt and anger and held up feelings, you can let it out in therapy. And they do role playing in therapy. But the one thing I could never do was face my mother in therapy. He'd sit me in a chair and tell me, this is your mother, Orlando. Tell her what you feel. I never could do that. And he could never bring it out of me. So I still have that in me. But I feel good about myself. I feel I've worked through a lot of trauma in my life. All my sisters and brothers and cousins tell me, Orlando, how do you go through something like that when you lose the Lord was on my side, you know. And I have no hard feelings for to kill my son. And I don't know who killed my oldest son. And then my middle son died from cancer. And, you know, we just live. God let us go through these traumas and He helps us. He's always by our side in time of need. Whenever I used to cry all the time. Now I can't shed a tear for nobody. It's hard for me to cry. Something had to really, really bother me for me to cry.
Yeah, that's me too. You know, feeling the presence of the Most High is probably the time that I cry the most.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as crying like over a movie or crying over a friend or crying because I hear something sad,
Right. It's hard for me to cry.
I haven't cried probably in. It's been a while.
Cried in 10 years, I think. Maybe.
I don't remember, and I know people who could dry at the drop of a hat, like, you know. And some people, them tears is tears of lies. I don't believe in that. But yeah, I never did. But emotional pain is a real thing. It can be very devastating to some people.
Very.
I remember my darkest times, and most people probably wouldn't relate that to me having a dark time, because people say I'm so strong. Don't believe people when they say people are strong. That's just their way of saying that I'm not going to check in on you. I'm not going to make sure you're all right. Because the very people you say are so strong, and those are people who need hugs. Those are people who need you to ask them, are they okay? Those are people that you shouldn't, but people do. And just try to do anything to them. Because they're like, oh, they can take it, they can snap back from it. No, it's not true. Maybe we internalize it more, but no, we're not your target because we look strong. You know, and I denounce that strong black woman stuff. I don't believe in none of that, because we all are gentle in some ways. We all need love. We all need hugs. We all need to be considered. So don't put that on us as if, you know, we could run through concrete walls, because we don't. We do what we have to do to survive and to take care of our loved ones, but that don't mean we don't need a hug. That don't mean that we don't need somebody to take the time to ask us how we're doing. And if you have a relationship with me, no matter what condition I'm in emotionally, you still should base it on our relationship and come and check on me. Period. You know, so that's just a little something I want to talk about, this emotional pain.
I wanted to say this. A lot of people think when people tell them that I'm gonna kill myself, they think it's a joke. They laugh about it. They say, oh girl, you ain't gonna kill yourself. But they don't know how that feels. I've tried to kill myself so many times.
We are going to have another discussion about that.
Okay.
That'll be a video in and of itself. We're not gonna go over into that, even though that's a part of this topic. Not to cut you off. It is a part of the topic, but we're gonna we really have to dig into that. That's probably going to be a 2-part video.
Good.
But emotional pain is real. If you know somebody, I mean, I really don't like the word bullying because it's so oversaturated. Mm-hmm. But if you know somebody, I'll take it old school. If you know somebody who's being picked on, if you know somebody who's being called names, you know somebody who is being talked about because of their body shape, or how long or short their hair is, or how light or dark their skin is, or you know, if they have on the latest fashion or not. I mean, you know, these things shape people.
Yes.
And they make some people, make them go out and do things that are unlawful. It makes some people go out and, you know, they get in an abusive relationship because that's the only love they have. But the real culprit in the situation is the people who cause the trauma. That means some of you all's kids are causing trauma to other kids. That means some of you adults are causing trauma to other adults. You guys are inflicting emotional pain and on other people, jumping people, screaming and hollering at people, telling them they don't fit in, or telling somebody they're ugly, or being just cruel. Those things are causes emotional pain, neglect, and all those different things. But we just want to come and share our point of view on emotional pain. And tomorrow we're going to give you another topic of the day, a real quick one. As we drive in the car, it seems like that's where we do our videos. But God bless you. Love and peace and hair grease.
Amen.
Say something kind and gentle to somebody, and the person that you think is the strongest person in the room, go up to them and show them some kindness. Give them a hug. Say something. If that's the kind of relationship you have, God bless.
Bless.